Hey guys, this is my second time doing this video because I started it before I met you. And now that I know you, I've kind of changed up my lessons a little bit in terms of what's expected. Obviously, we are moving into our new unit. Yesterday, we talked about voice, we talked about word choice, syntax, which is just sentence structure, simple sentences, complex sentences, compound complex, and then punctuation, ellipses, hyphens, what those signify in writing, how we can put like our personality out on a page of 650 words by using punctuation. You can do a lot with sentence structure and punctuation. I think a lot of people think word choice is really what like sells a person, but the punctuation you use, the abruptness, the lack of abruptness, it tells a lot about the situation you're telling. So today, when I come back, I'll hear about what time you get up in the morning. That sounds like a creepy question of the day, but it is kind of a creepy question of the day. So we are going to be diving right into our admissions essay, just kind of looking at examples. The first thing I want to do though is whenever you start a new unit, you need to know what you're going to be expected to do by the end of that unit, right? So we took notes, we better understand voice, and now we have to implement those changes, those things we've learned. And the best way to do that is to look at how really good writers implement those strategies. So today, I'm going to introduce you to your admissions essay. We're not going to start admission essays until Friday, but I want you to know what you're expected to do before you start looking at other people's work. And I'm also going to read to you a very good admissions essay today, because that is what you are going to be annotating the rest of today with a partner and Wednesday, analyzing this admissions essay, asking why did they use this sentence? Why did they make this abrupt? What are they trying to say? Why this word choice? So after I go through the admissions essay, after I go through the prompts from Common App, I'm going to read to you Grandma Kimchi, and then your objective is to analyze the heck out of that admissions essay. Whether you like it or you don't like it, this kid got into several amazing colleges just because of this essay. And then you'll spend time annotating today and tomorrow, and a little bit of Thursday. And then Thursday, you're going to grab examples from previous MTHS students, look at those examples, annotate those, pick your favorite, and be ready to discuss on Friday. So let's go ahead and get started today with our admissions essay expectations, meaning that by the time we're done with this unit next Friday, you will have met all of these criteria and you will have had an amazing essay. I want you to know, I know a lot of you guys have already started essays, some of you guys have been working with people, but everybody should be changing, morphing, creating something new and improved for next Friday. We're not just going to say, I wrote a paper in the summer, it's perfect. No. What you learned yesterday, what you're going to learn this week should be implemented in those already written essays or the one you're going to do. So, college application essay, we all deserve to be complicated on a page. And like I said, ChatGPT will try to make you not complicated. It will try to make you very simplistic, and I believe that I'm a good student for this school. We don't want to do that. Colleges are inundated with that right now, and they have to kind of like sift through and suss out those people who are not writing their own college admissions essay. So the best way to ensure that your college knows that this is your essay is word choice, sentence structure, punctuation, interesting story with an overwhelming motif. And a motif is a reoccurring theme, reoccurring word throughout. Not every one of your admissions essays might have a motif, but the best do. Okay, so rough drafts are due next Thursday, and that day you will do some peer editing. And then final drafts will be due next Friday by midnight to Google Classroom and turn it in. I give you time in class not to sit around and do nothing. I give you time in class to work because I need to know that this is your work. So if you're sitting in class on your phone, it ain't your work. I don't believe it's your work if you're working at home, not trying to be mean. But when kids say, I can't work in class, that's not going to work at the college level. So you have to dedicate yourself next week to working on this essay in class, asking opinions, asking for help, so that I know that this is your work. By the time this is done, it's going to be 180 points on your admissions essay, implementing those voice elements, and an 80-point reflection that you will write about how you took your essay and made it amazing based on my lesson yesterday. So creating a good college admissions essay can make or break your chances of getting into college. A lot of you guys have amazing GPAs, and you're competing with other people who have the same exact GPA as you, especially at ISU in the business department. It is very, very competitive, and everybody has the same GPA. The thing that sets you apart is your essay. People are going to be vying for spots just like you. So here are some things to remember. Your paper needs to represent the true you, your own words. You need to take steps to kind of make your paper stand out, and usually personal stories are best. Creating an interesting introduction, hooking your reader right away is probably your best way to do that. Some people start in medias res, which means right in the middle of things, kind of the way Kindred did if you were an American Lit. Creating an introduction that has blanks in your story that you're going to fill in later keeps your reader engaged as well. Along with that is the voice. It's the creativity. It's the word choice, the sentence structure. So let's look at how somebody kind of introduces the death of their grandmother before and after. Before. The day my grandmother died, I was so sad I could barely stand it. I watched as they lowered her coffin into the ground, hoping that one day I could see her again. I wish I had had one more day to talk to her. Unfortunately, this was not going to happen. All right, so in this example, it's good, it's fine, but how many people are going to write about a dead relative? A lot. And this person just kind of tells you, they don't show you. They just kind of say, hey, my grandma died, it sucked, I miss her, I hope I see her again. Okay, well, essentially the essay's over, because at that point you're just repeating yourself that your grandma kaputzed. Like there's nothing else going on. What are you going to do? Tell me a story about a fist fight at the graveyard? No, because you want it to be a positive admissions essay. So let's see how someone shows us, doesn't tell us. They covered the precious mahogany coffin with a brown amalgam of rocks, decomposed organisms, and weeds. It was my turn to take the shovel, but I felt too ashamed to dutifully send her off when I had not properly said goodbye. I refused to throw dirt on her. I refused to let my grandmother go, to accept a death I had not seen coming, to believe that an illness could not only interrupt, but steal a beloved life. That's good. That makes me think, ooh, why do they feel guilty? Like what happened? They are showing me, they're not just telling me. And the word choice. This person, 100%, probably is some kind of science or science major. So they're also kind of showing that vocabulary, the academic vocabulary they have. I mean, decomposed organism. They show those things within that introduction. So as you're writing your paper, you have to show yourself. Not everybody is a dork for science. That's okay. Here's the thing. You don't want to use words to show off when you don't really know what they mean. So this next part, don't make your paper too wordy. You could read that introduction and be like, Coop, that's a little wordy. That's a little much. But the person knows what they're saying. They're using correct words in correct context. Some people will write an admissions essay and have like a thesaurus next to them. But remember, there's a difference between the denotation, the definition of a word, and a connotation, the meaning, the cultural heaviness of it. So be aware that like you need to use your strengths when you're writing your story, your admissions essay. Set your paper up in a logical way. You're going to hook your audience, tell your story, frame the ending, bring it back, make it positive. use a motif, a reoccurring theme throughout. I'll show you an example of that, how somebody brilliantly kind of uses a motif in Grandma Kimchi. And make sure your paragraphs are organized. If you're going to start at the end of your story and work your way backwards, I need to be able to follow it. Don't just throw material together thinking your reader will understand your thoughts. They don't know you. Things you shouldn't do. Don't resort to gimmicks. Creativity is great, but if you are just being super creative and you never get to the story and the lesson, you're gonna lose your reader. Focus on the positive. I had a girl last year write about her mom giving her dog away, and it was just like pretty much a burn book. I mean, she just complained about her mom the whole time, and there was no like, this has taught me something, or I'm going to learn this trait which is going to help me in college. It was just like, I hate my mom. Well, that's not great. You gotta find a positive twist. Being controversial is not the vibe. You don't know who is going to be reading your admissions essay. So if you are super controversial, or you're very political, or you're very, very heightenedly religious, it can turn people off. Can you write about religion? Absolutely. Just understand that there might be people reading your paper who, if it's very judgmental or it reads judgmental, they might be put off, because we are human beings, and you know what we believe does kind of seep into what we read. Seeking pity. You know, there are people in your class who have been through heavy stuff, but like I said, you have to turn it into a positive at some point. Don't just say, you know, I lost my dad and that's ruined my life, so please let me into this college. You know, I lost my mom and could write about that, but I would have to spin it in a way that like makes me unique to the other students in the school. Like, because I lost my mom, I developed traits that make me a perfect candidate for your school, because I've been through it. I've experienced the worst of the worst, and I came out on the other side. So just be aware of that. Few other things. Finally, use what you've learned over the past few days for your essay. You're going to find your voice. You have to determine what your tone is. If you're a funny person, it's okay for your paper to be funny. Once you know what kind of writer you are, you're halfway there. Tell a story. Identify a motif or a lesson that can be reoccurring in your essay. Create great sentence structure, right? If something is simplistic and to the point and you're over it, make it simplistic, to the point, period. If something is complex and heartbreaking, make the sentences complex and heartbreaking. Choose your best words. You know, word choice is so important. I think I said this before, you know, would you rather be called fat or full-figured? Well, probably full-figured. You know, that they both mean the same thing, but the connotative meaning, right, the emotion behind it's a little different. So just be very aware of the cultural meanings, how our America has like chosen words that can mean the same thing but have different negative or positive connotations. It's kind of like your crew versus your clique. A clique is usually connotatively negative because of the movie Mean Girls, right? So just be aware of those things. Don't call your friend group a clique in an admissions essay unless you want them to know that they were mean to you. You're going to write at least a 650-word essay. Let's make it between 6 and 650. Do not go over 650. Write a half a page to a one-page reflection. So you'll do your essay, and then you'll put your word count at the end of your essay, and then you'll do a page break and you'll write your reflection. And that reflection should explain how you specifically used lessons that I've taught you to zhuzh up and create your admissions essay. That means picking apart words from your essay and explaining how those words, you made them better, giving me examples of sentence structure. So when you do your reflection, you should have real examples from your paper to explain to me how you implemented what I taught you. It should be a couple of paragraphs, maybe a paragraph about word choice and a paragraph about sentence structure, or a paragraph about punctuation and a paragraph about word choice. You'll use MLA formatting, right? We'll have our header with our page number, our heading with our name, my name, class, due date, a title, and then start. The title does not have to count for your word count, just so you know. And then you'll use Google Classroom and turn it in. So now that you know what you're going to be doing, I know a lot of you are like, oh, I'm ready to get started. Not yet. I need you to see really good examples, okay? Because I think sometimes students think, I'm ready to go. And then they read examples and they're like, I ain't ready to go. So let's look at our rubric real quick. You will have 30 points on your focus. You need to make sure you stick to your prompt and to one idea. You don't want to tell me 15 stories about something. You're going to lose me. One main idea, story, stick to the prompt, and answer it well. That's like the biggest part of this. 30 points on your voice. Do I see a personal side to you as a writer? Do I see good word choice, punctuation? 30 points for your sentence structure based on simplicity or complexity. Again, this is another thing I've taught you and I will be assessing you on it. Examples or stories. Whatever prompt you choose to do, you need to either have a story or examples personalized, right? Like, don't say, I am obsessed with reality television. Tell me why in the summer of 2025, 1,000-Pound Sisters got you through it. It's a sucky summer. 1,000-Pound Sisters. Be specific. Don't say, I love horror movies. If you want to talk for 650 words about horror movies, you better be telling me about them. Really giving me examples. Your form, right? The fact that you have a hook, you framed your story, that's 130 points. And then you get 50 points for grammar, right? If your grammar's on point, you're good to go. You get your 50 points. If it's not, you miss out. You get, whatever, minus 50. That is 180 points. Then we drop down your admission essay reflection. You have to somehow tell me 30 points about your voice. How did you use your voice with examples? The examples are also 30 points. I expect you to give me at least 2 of those elements from voice, okay? So that could be punctuation and word choice. That could be syntax and word choice. Give me 2, give me at least 2 really good paragraphs with an opening sentence, a closing sentence, and examples. That's worth 60. And then you'll have 20 points of grammar again, making it 80. So altogether, your essay is going to be worth a whopping 260, okay? That'll be your first big essay of the year. A lot of our other essays are much bigger. After this assignment, we'll go right into Gatsby. So then you'll have a lot of little quizzes and writing assignments. It's pretty lofty. And then you'll do a huge analytical essay using different theories, literary theories for Gatsby. But I've given you this. I do want to take you through, again, the Common App essay prompts. 99% of your schools are going right through Common App. If you Google it, let's go back to Common App. I just trust their website better. It's the same 7 essays, and 90% of schools are using Common App. They want you to choose one of those essays, and then they usually have some personal statements. If you're planning on going to like ICC or something like that, you still need to do this admissions essay, because at some point you're going to be going to a school that wants an admissions essay. All right, so I kind of went through before and just kind of explained this to you, but here are your 7 essay prompts before we read Grandma Kimchi. Number 1, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful to them that they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If it sounds like you, then please share your story. This is a really good one. It tends to be incredibly popular. This is the one that the Grandma Kimchi admissions essay used. I will tell you, sports are good, but I also want you to know that there's going to be a lot of people writing about the first time they stepped onto that football field. And they knew everything was on their backs. And it was going to be a really hard season. But they knew they could do it. That's great. But you might want to hone in a little bit more on something more specific when you talk about this difficult season. A lot of kids are going to talk about a sports injury. You've got to make it unique. It can't just be like, I tore my ACL. What about during that time? Maybe you went to Crumble Cookie every day. Maybe how did you get over that? Make it more unique. Don't just tell people you broke or you tore your ACL. What is something unique about the experience? What did you learn from it? And if you start with that part, like, okay, this sucked. What did I learn from it? Okay, I learned this. I learned that I can't rely on friends. Okay, that's fine. I learned that my friend group wasn't my friend group when I got hurt on the basketball team. Okay, you're going to have to spin it positive at some point, but take me to that lesson. Don't just say I tore my ACL. Take me to that lesson. 2, the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? This is another one of those kind of challenging ones. It's very popular, so you're going to have a unique twist. Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking, and what was the outcome? This is a good one for my debaters. Like, they want to come at teachers and be like, yo. That's great. You just got to be really careful, because colleges like unique-minded people. They like people who push the envelope. They don't like jackwagons. You cannot come off like some self-righteous jackwagon, because they're going to be like, I don't care if you got a 4.9. This broad over here has a 4.9, and she's not going to give me a headache. So you have to be very careful about this one, but if you do it well, it's one of the best. Reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? Somebody wrote about Unified Redbirds last year, and it was so well done. And it was about what they learned from the students. And she started it off with a jingle of Santa Claus sleigh bells, because it was about Eddie. And it was really, really good. And not just because I love Unified Redbirds, but it was just really profound. A lot of people are going to write about somebody, helping them on a math assignment. That's great, but it's got to be deeper, right? So if they helped you on a math assignment, it's got to be bigger than just that. Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself and others. This is a good one. Just make sure that you have a unique twist on it. 6, describe an idea, concept, or topic you find so engaging that it makes you lose track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? Somebody did a whole essay on their obsession with sharks, and it was the coolest thing ever, because they found a way to connect it to their major, which is business. It was just brilliant. This is the kind of one that, you can really be yourself. If fashion is your thing, do it. If you love reality television and you're obsessed with the Kardashians, do it. They want unique people. That is not basic. Basic is, I want to be an engineer because I love math and science, and I love my teachers. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I hate to be mean, but nobody cares. Why? Why do you love it besides the basic, regular stuff? You got to be unique. 7, share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. This is very open-ended. So that's why when kids say, I don't know what to write about, 7's your guy then. 7 is your guy, okay? So those are your prompts. The next 3 days, we are going to be working on examples. And I know for some of you, you're like, ugh, but you've never done this before, okay? You have never done this before. So you might have wrote an essay over the summer, but it's not going to be as good as it's going to be by next Friday. And I hate when kids say, I don't know why I got a C on this. What do you want from me? I'm going to show you. So you're going to know exactly what I want from you. Mrs. Dale has handed out the Grandma Kimchi college essay example. It fits both 1 about background or 7 about something of your choice. You want to write at the top right now, voice. And then we're going to remind ourselves of what voice is. Okay, so everybody at the top, you're going to jot this down. These are the things you're looking for. It'll load in a second. You're looking for the writer's opinion, word choice, point of view, sentence structure, punctuation, and the rhythm of it. Okay, so jot those down. If you've ever done a article of the week, the hellishness of article of the week from Germantown Hills, this is essentially what we're doing. We are going to annotate the heck out of this in Partners for about 2 days. We're going to analyze it. It doesn't have to be your favorite thing ever. Maybe you're like, this is bogus, but this is good. It got this kid in, and it showed his background. So you're looking for these things. So jot these down, okay? And I don't just want highlighting and circling. I want you to ask why of every sentence. Why this sentence? Why this word? Why this structure? Why does he start this way? Why this opening? Your essay should be riddled, not Tony Riddle, riddled with annotations. So I am going to read this to you. And then on Wednesday and part of today and a little bit of Thursday, you guys are going to work in partners. If you want to work alone, that's fine. If you see somebody working alone and you had a group of 3, be nice. Don't be a jackwagon. Say, hey, come work with us. You are annotating this. This is your work. You are discussing. You are having academic conversations about why this essay works. Thursday, after you're done, you're going to turn it into the bin. It's going to be a 30-point assignment. And then you're going to grab example essays from your peers the last couple years. This is not about trying to figure out whose essay this is. If you read these, you're like, oh, I wrote this, then you are not ready for this class. That's an immaturity thing. It's about analyzing these. Which one do you think is great? Which ones do you think could be better? And why? Okay, so you're going to grab these Thursday because I'm going to come in Friday and I'm going to say, talk to me. What worked? What didn't work? What did you love? What motif did you see? Let's talk through these. Find your favorite. Find one that you're like, I love the way that writer did that, and I want to implement that in my writing. Okay, so today annotate, Wednesday annotate, Thursday finish it up. Thursday, take this. You're probably going to have some homework. Go through these. Be ready to go. They're good. They're not perfect. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good. Okay, let's look at the number 1 essay prompt. This was a really good one. Every Saturday morning, I'd awaken to the smell of crushed garlic and peanut pepper. I would stumble into the kitchen to find my grandma squatting over a large silver bowl, mixing fat lips of fresh cabbage with garlic, salt, and red pepper. That was how the delectable Korean dish kimchi was born every weekend at my home. My grandmother's specialty always dominated the dinner table as kimchi filled every plate. And like my grandma, who had always been living with us, it seemed as though the luscious smell of garlic would never leave our home. But even the prided recipe was defenseless against the ravages of the Alzheimer's that inflicted my grandma's mind. Dementia slowly fed on her memories until she became as blank as a brand new notebook. The ritualistic rigor of Saturday mornings came to a pause, and during dinner, the artificial taste of vacuum-packaged factory kimchi only emphasized the absence of the family tradition. I would look at her and ask, Grandma, what's my name? But she would stare back at me with a clueless expression. Within a year of diagnosis, she lived with us like a total stranger. One day, my mom brought home fresh cabbages and red pepper sauce. She brought out the old silver bowl and poured out the cabbages, smothering them with garlic and salt and pepper. The familiar tangy smell tingled my nose. Gingerly, My grandma stood up from the couch in the living room and, as if lured by the smell, sat by the silver bowl and dug her hands into the spiced cabbages. As her bony hands shredded the green lips, a look of determination grew on her face. Though her withered hands no longer displayed the swiftness and precision they once did, her face showed the aged rigor of a professional. For the first time in years, the smell of garlic filled the air, and the rattling of the silver bowl resonated throughout the house. That night, we ate kimchi. It wasn't perfect. The cabbages were clumsily cut and the garlic was a little too strong. But kimchi had never tasted better. I still remember my grandma putting a piece in my mouth and saying, "Here, Dongjin, try it, my boy." Seeing Grandma again this summer, that moment of clarity seemed infernal. Her disheveled hair and expressionless face told of the aggressive development of her illness. Beholding her hands, looking into her eyes, I could still smell the garlic. The moments of Saturday mornings remained ingrained in my mind. Grandma was an artist who painted the cabbages with strokes of red pepper. Like the sweet taste of kimchi, I hope to capture those memories in my keystrokes as I type away these words. A piece of writing is more than just a piece of writing. It invokes, it inspires, it captures what time takes away. My grandma used to say, tigers leave their furs when they die. Humans leave their names. Her legacy was the smell of garlic that lingered around my house. Mine will be these words. Right? Motif, reoccurring, the smell of garlic. What's the lesson here? Right? What's the lesson? And how does he tell it in a unique way? That family and tradition is so important that no one ever truly loses who they are? Whatever you think the lesson is, it could have been my grandma had dementia and I missed her so much, and there were times she would know me and there were times that she didn't, but it taught me to get through things and that family is important. That is what somebody would write who's basic. He found a story that displays that lesson. And then he showed us how his grandma was an artist of kimchi. He wants to be an artist of writing. And this tradition, this family tradition that made him who he is, that's no longer around, will always be here. And he will write about it. It's brilliant. I want you, in a second, to get with partners. And I want you to go line by line. You'll notice that Google wants this person to change things. Oh, doesn't like the cabbages, doesn't like the and, doesn't like that there's no commas here. Guys, your college will know you're a good writer because you'll use semicolons correctly. You'll use an ellipse correctly. You will use complex sentences and you will punctuate them correctly so that when you do stuff like this list, they're like, that's on purpose, okay? When you use a simple sentence, they're not going to be like, whoa, he only knows simple sentences. No, you will use other expert forms of writing. And then when you use that simple sentence, they'll be like, yeah, this dude knows how to write. He's using this simple sentence on purpose. Okay? So I want you to go line by line by line. Annotate it. Write your thoughts on the side. He used this list without commas to build an intensity. That's why he used it without commas. It's a list, but it's heavy and it's important. Okay? So that's what you're doing today and tomorrow. By Thursday, you're going to pick up that example and you're going to get going. Do not start writing your essay yet. Just start brainstorming. I will be back Friday. If you have questions before then, let me know. But to be really honest with you, I think I've been pretty forthright on what I want from you and my expectations from you. And, but if you have a question, please just let me know. Email me, tcooper@mths.us, and I'll be happy to help you. I know this was a long recording, but since I'm not there, I really want to empower you to do your best. Thank you so much. Good luck.